had this in over a year. Well, not over a year, but I haven't played this in exactly a year. I was working on the level. Had a few worlds going on. I was trying to do something in one, and I originally started the game. It wasn't in creative, and I was getting frustrated, dying all the time. And I started a second one in creative. The third and fourth one were actually wanted to start another world again, but then while I was building the center, okay, there we go. This isn't the one. This is the main one where I was building stuff. Like a castle, or friggin' temple. I found a village and built some stuff around it. And built a tower in it. But when I wasn't using the coordination, the coordinates system, so when I was going far until I found something like interesting, and then I would build a pillar out of polished quartz. I'd use these as navigation beacons, so I could find my way back to wherever I was going, or wherever I came from, I mean. These are all over the place in this world, for different things I found. Can't I just quit? I don't want to save in the friggin' middle of the year like that. I'll go back to town. Oh, there we go. How the hell I go fast? Nah. But yeah, I like building and making shit. Oh yeah, roads going too. How do I go down? Yeah, there's a good enough place. Is this the last one? If there's just a single pillar, that should be. Yeah. Yeah, okay, because I put the bed in right beside and saved. Don't you dare. Get out of here. That's right. But this is the, I was building this when I got the news that my father had died. It was exactly a year ago tonight. Actually, even kinda nowish. I was friggin' working on this so I'd have a, I was gonna make some new stuff. But, let's see, like almost a year earlier, or maybe it was over a year earlier. Can't remember timeline for sure. All I know is exactly when he died. But he went into hospital for surgery for something, and the anesthetic had an effect on him. He ended up calling me one night saying that something was going on. He saw something he shouldn't have, or whatever, and they were that like he was like in trouble or something, and he was afraid they were gonna get him. He was like right paranoid about that. I called my aunt or cousin afterwards and told them about it. And they said they called the hospital and inquired about it and all that. And apparently it was a side effect of the anesthetic they use for the surgery. It sometimes makes them like hallucinate or whatever when they're coming out of it. I don't know, but anyways, because of that, he ended up getting put into a home because of having mental problems and not being able to stay at home without like proper without proper care, supervision. I was living with him at the time, but I'm not equipped to. But anyways, he ended up getting placed in a care facility so they could help look after him, because he was still like in and out of it for a while. But eventually he stabilized off, and seemed to regain his mental clarity and whatnot. But they kept him, and eventually he got a home, or he finally got a placement in a care facility. One of the Xanax facilities, and friggin' he was there. He seemed to be getting along well, but he was still worried about when he was going to get out and all that. I told him there he was worried about that, but they said he wouldn't have been able to. They, apparently he was too far. Even though it seemed like he stabled out, or he like even out or stable out or whatever, friggin' they kept him, and he couldn't have left even if he wanted to, or if he could have gone home or something. I don't know. He was in the facility. Eventually, he did take a little bit of a turn for the worse, and yeah, something had happened. He had. He had another surgery. He was out of it again, and then I don't know. It only seemed like a few days, or like a couple weeks later. It wasn't that long. Like we're waiting. He seemed like he seemed like he was getting better again, and then I got a call. And my cousin saying that, telling me that he had passed. Our relationship was complicated. It wasn't like bad, but we weren't like, I don't know, close. I was closer with my mom than I was with my dad, but he did have his moments when I was growing up, though. Having taught me a lot of stuff. I never took up any of his skills, though. Like he could do pretty much anything. He was a mechanic, an electrician. Friggin' he was always doing like house renovations and stuff. He was like a carpenter, friggin' construction worker. Friggin' he drove trucks. Said he used to be a janitor at the friggin' Moosehead Brewery. He used to be a janitor when I was a kid at the Superstore on Ross Avenue when that first opened up. Back in the store, shelf stalkers went around the store on roller skates. But friggin' yeah, he was everything. He was he even said he was friggin' carnival, not a carny, but a mechanic. He would work on the carnival rides. That was his main thing. Even at home, he was a mechanic. Friggin' like he was always doing like either house renovations or friggin' electrical or plumbing. Friggin' or out in the yard working on the vehicles, or digging up the yard because he was putting in drainage tile and friggin' trying to find the when we first moved into one of our places there, he was trying to find the septic tank. Yeah, he had a friggin' trench dug around the house for friggin' around the foundation because he was trying to find leaks, and he ended up putting in drainage tile to help keep the water from building up like that and going over the foundation. there. Yeah, but yeah, he was friggin' plumber, electrician, carpenter, friggin' mechanic. He could sew and friggin' upholster. He could do pretty much everything. There. I never. You'd think I would have taken up any of his skills, but the way he never really like taught me how to. Whenever he tried to show me stuff, it wasn't like really clear, and he was always like covering up basically what he was friggin' pointing at, or like I'd keep asking what he was pointing at or looking at, or like exactly what the hell I was supposed to be looking at, and friggin' he'd get like frustrated with that. Or when I would lean in, he'd like say, oh, it's too dangerous, get back, or whatever, so it's kind of hard to learn things if you can't see what the fuck you're doing. And a lot of times it was just, I just got bored of standing there. Waiting for unclear instructions. But no, he was good at what he did. He was always fixing stuff, or fixing the house, or fixing the vehicles. Even when we went out places, it always frustrated me. Pardon me. He was always stopping to help people with like that were like stopped on the side of the road with like mechanic issues and stuff. It annoyed me as a kid because we'd be out going places and we'd all of a sudden stop for like half an hour or so to help whoever friggin' with whatever, even in the friggin' winter time. I'd be sitting there in the car freezing to death, and he's out there, and he you know, the weather didn't matter to him. He was out there in friggin' all weather. He even told me he had nerve damage in his hands and stuff from being out in the winter and getting nerve damage from being out in the cold too much. His hands were almost permanently, he had permanent oil stains on his hands. And eventually they lightened up, but he's still, yeah, he worked on it so much, they just soaked into his skin permanently over the years. It's not that we didn't he was always joking and whatnot too. Well, not like always joking, but when he was joking, whatever, you know, dad jokes and stuff. When I was a little kid, they'd all be like puns and stuff, you know. And of course, I'd tell stuff, or I'd tell jokes wherever, and he wouldn't get them. Or like he didn't find it funny, I don't know, whatever. Like not when I was a kid, even when I was old. My humor. Even though some of it was some of his jokes too, I don't know. Man, it's been a year already. Yeah, I was making a video of this though, because it ties in, because I was literally gaming when it happened. And instead of being a start of a new world, it's a memorial of an end. Anyways, I'm gonna cut it there for now. Adios.